We're going to be talking about AI today and the Technology Advisor Alliance. We've got two guys joining us today who are very passionate about AI and implementing it in their own businesses today too. We've got Derek Roush, president of VocalPoint Consulting, and Kyle Burt, founder of Catch Advisors. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and jump into the burning questions everyone wants to know. When's Skynet happening? When's the machine apocalypse happening? I got to get my vacation plans lined up before.
I asked Chat GPT that earlier. It said I could not answer that question directly, so unfortunately, we'll never know.
Uh-oh. That makes me think it's going to be soon.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Uh-oh. I'm going to have to advance my travel plans then.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, pivoting back to a more serious note, I'm curious, what are you guys doing with AI today? Are you using it in your businesses currently?
Kyle, I'll let you go first because I know you're using a little bit of AI for your marketing. So if you want to get into that.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. So it's a resounding yes. I'm using it anywhere I can. It's a novelty in some areas, and in other areas, it's proven to be very, very productive. Right? I would say most of us in this room, most of us watching this, not only are we out there selling solutions to our clients, we also have to run the business. We have to run the company, and we have to wear many hats. There's finance, accounting, there's sales, marketing, there's operations, onboarding, offboarding. And so I'm finding any ways possible that I can run AI through that. And I've been in this space since 2016, but I'm on kind of a new journey since last year. So Q4 of 2022 started a new brand, relaunched. Catch Advisors is brand new. Our logo was created by AI. So everything that I'm doing marketing wise, AI is tied into it, like 100%.
Very cool. Derek, how about you?
So, of course, we're seeing AI in the call centers, with either the front ending of the call or the back ending of the call, and you're starting to see AI pop up even in, midstream in those call center interactions. But for us, I mean, we've tried AI from a marketing perspective. I wasn't happy with the results we were getting. I thought it was too generic. We tried putting different parameters into it and trying to, get the outcomes that we were looking for. And it just didn't sound natural. And that's probably the experience that a lot of people have today. But we've also seen it where, we're trying to help like other companies. There's an Australian company. In fact, if Skip is on here, he may know this company out of Australia. We were trying to help them launch here in the US, and they had an AI product that was basically taking the outbound call and matching it up with the right outbound agent to increase the likelihood of a conversion rate. And so we were seeing KPIs anywhere from 20 to 80% increase, a huge conversion rate increase. But it's really, they call it AI and machine learning, but it's really not. It's more like if-then statements, right? If this happens, then I'll do this, and it can pivot. But it's not real true AI. The problem with that is we were trying to help this company get launched here in the US, and the more AI started developing, which in the last 6 months, it's been just off the charts. It became to where that particular product was starting to sundown its own self. And so that's the danger that we're seeing right now, is things are just moving so fast, and trying to keep up with it from a product standpoint is crazy, because you'll see even with guys like maybe an Observe AI, or if anybody knows Balto. What Balto considers AI is literally just a checklist. I'm going to put a checklist here, and I'm running transcription in the background, looking for keywords or phrases, and then I'm going to check that off to where I go, okay, great, that KPI is checked off. but it's not real, the type of AI that we're seeing now that's really starting to think for itself.
Interesting. There's a lot to digest there. I mean, that's, I think that's probably an inevitable track is, what's truly AI? How do we define it? And, are we going to see a lot of products flooding the market that are jumping on the AI bandwagon just because it's hot right now? Where, maybe on the back end, it's really just some if this, then, that statements versus, true machine learning.
Yeah, I think we need to draw a hard line in the sand there, right? Because we've had AI for the longest time. Siri on your phone is AI, Alexa's AI, all these things are AI. So we need to like draw a line in the sand, like when we're talking about AI going forward. We're not talking about transcription services. We're talking about generative AI versus more traditional AI. And the generative AI, that's the part that if you're not paying attention to that, I mean, I think everybody here is, but people in other industries that aren't paying attention to that, I mean, I hate to bring it to it, but it's that whole adapt or die mentality, because I mean, there are some people that should seriously be concerned about the future of their job because it's going to be disrupted by this. We're already seeing it happen. I mean, look at the call center space. It's been there for a while with Five9's IVA, the AI agent, and that type of thing that's across like NICE and Genesis. Right, but like think about that as it expands to copywriters and marketers and all these people in all these industries. I mean, we're always going to need people, but some of the low level tasks, they're just going to be automated out, right? And so you have to keep on upskilling and picking up new talents.
Yeah, I think it feels like we're kind of on the cusp of like another industrial revolution where, the industry in a lot of positions are going to be turned upside down. But I think, from that, hopefully we see a whole new wave of markets and skill sets arising and job opportunities and revenue opportunities. Do you think we're at the inflection point, at least from your customer bases, where people are adopting this and they are choosing providers and solutions because of their AI implementations over others? Or do you think we're still in that kind of only for the early adopters, it's gaining a lot of headlines, but not a lot of real market traction yet?
I think I would say that we are in the, walking phase. We're not crawling, we're walking, but the run phase. The problem with AI is it's happening so fast that the products are developing and the new AI bots are developing so fast that we're racing toward this cliff. And my big issue with it is, and to answer your question, Brian, with regard to like what clients are asking, most of my clients don't have a clue. They know that it's out there. They know that they need to look at it, especially when it comes to like cybersecurity and how they are going to secure their environment, because AI could just break 256-bit encryption out of the gate. Then you get into quantum computing and then all bets are off. But the problem is we're going there so fast that there's no regulatory agency that's overlooking things. And so I'm not quite as bullish on it. I think we definitely need to understand it and know about it. And there are some good things about it. I mean, my stepfather just had a surgery done by a robot. And, there's great stuff that's happening in robotics, and we might cure cancer with AI. Problem is, a year later, you might also do away with all humanity. So, yeah, it becomes a Faustian bargain, But the AI that we're seeing today is growing so fast that it's becoming power without wisdom. And so there's got to be some sort of wisdom there. And that's my fear, is there's got to be some sort of regulatory agency or something that kind of can keep things in a box. Because in a business world, we can tell it, only go to my CRM and get information, or only go here or there. But the problem is Chat GPT 4 has already read the entire internet. So if you let that genie out of the bottle and you let it go outside of your box, well, then it's pulling information that, maybe it's pulling information from Wikipedia, and you go, okay, is that real? So that's the big issue, because right now you only need, 3 seconds of voice even to recreate somebody's, voice and create a deep fake from a voice perspective. So in our world, we've got firewalls that are, handling data, but is anybody handling, voice fakes that come into your business?
Derek,
Yeah.
I've got about half a dozen questions for you, but I want to hear Kyle's perspective too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I put out a post on LinkedIn about this the other day. It's essentially, to ban GPT, Chat GPT, or to adapt it. And obviously, as you would imagine, the more mature an organization is, the more they're going to be on the banning of Chat GPT until they can understand it. Like maybe put it aside in a sandbox environment, test it out, but don't let the employees in the organization run around freely on Chat GPT and BARD, all these things, because especially contextually, right? What's the context of that organization? Do they have really deep IP, intellectual property, that they want to protect? And what if somebody uploads a plugin that reads their spreadsheet that takes that data, and where does that data go? Right? ChatGPT says that the data can be erased within 30 days, but it's still kind of a slippery slope, and still kind of scary for a lot of cyber professionals. Right, so the people that I'm talking to, from startups to like 500-person firms, to talking to this one right now, 15,000 people. I dove in the deep end on cyber more recently, and I'm doing these discoveries. Completely different. The smaller firms are like, yeah, put BARD and GPT everywhere. Like we want it everywhere. We want it now. We want it fast. Productivity is the name of the game. We don't care about security, but we kind of do. And then the other guys are like, it's security first, productivity last, right? So you get people on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of buzz about security, and I can absolutely see why. I mean, there's a new crazy story every day. I saw one yesterday. A guy was scammed via FaceTime. There's deep fake video of his brother. They voice faked, his brother, and did a whole interaction. And the social engineering threat, has always been really like the biggest security hole in any organization, and now with deep fakes and the ability to build the amount of profile and background data on a person in milliseconds, that used to take weeks of digging. Those threats are expanding. There's an obvious correlation to technology and threat there. What other trends do you think aren't making the headlines that businesses need to be thinking about? As these tools hit the market and evolve at, what seems like just a mind-blowing pace right now.
I can take that one first real quick, if you don't mind. So people talk about like AI for us, right? Like it's so cool and we're doing all these things, but it's easy to quickly forget about AI for threat actors, right? They have these tools as well. And so if you think about what's happened this year so far, ransomware is up about 140%. Why is that? Well, in the past, to conduct a ransomware attack, you had to have certain skills. You had to have certain skills and certain knowledge. And you had to have the know-how and the ability. But now, you and I, we can run ransomware attacks very easily. It's ransomware as a service. Pay the price. Here's the price. And it will be conducted by a ransomware orchestrator now. So there's a ransomware orchestrator that's conducting all the botnets and all the phishing schemes and all those pieces that they need to complete that ransomware. And now they just get that out at like a mass scale to anybody who wants to pay for it, right? And so that's leveraging AI on the dark web, right? And so as we're advancing here, they're advancing there. So I don't think that we're advancing as fast as they are, because again, threat actors are generally smaller, more nimble organizations, so they can turn around much quicker than a Fortune 500 company can, right?
There's probably no ethical qualms there, that some of these organizations are probably hopefully bound by as well.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with Kyle. I mean, we've got to be aware of it so we can have these conversations with our clients when it comes to their security posture. I mean, I was sitting down with a law firm talking to them about moving their Citrix environment to the cloud. And depending on where you move that environment or what you do with it changes your security posture. And so AI's got to be part of that discussion. And as we look at cybersecurity, I think, we need to look at, okay, who's going to do the pen testing and the quarterly assessments or the semi-annual assessments for the company. But then you don't want that company to be the same company that's also doing your SIEM, your security incident and event management, right? You don't want the same company or the fox watching the hen house, so to speak. So we definitely have to have these conversations, but I'm certainly one that's very cautious about, where it's all going until we can kind of wrap our arms around how we control it.
Absolutely. In terms of kind of taking it back to more baby steps, I guess, and maybe some of the tools that we can leverage while we're kind of seeing how the bigger picture evolves. We were talking earlier about before the event started, we were talking about scale and productivity. Have you guys found any tools that have been game changers, in your day to day, allowing you to scale or, do more or change the direction of your organization with some of these tools? Kyle, I'll go ahead and hand it off to you, or Derek, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say we've toyed around with some things, some different AI tools with regard to, marketing and doing scrubbing the internet of, finding emails and creating lists and then doing drip campaigns to those. I haven't found them to be really that effective yet. But that could change really fast. And I know, Kyle, you've gotten into it a lot more than I have when it comes to the marketing side, and you may have had a lot more success than I have.
Sure, yeah. I'm using AI in the business in 3 distinct categories. Let's start with sales first, because that's where most of us are in the sales realm. So I'll tell you exactly what I'm using, because I don't care. I'm using Apollo.io, and that's like my Zoom Info equivalent.
And that's one of the ones we were trying as well.
Yep, and that pulls all my contacts out. It scrapes the internet for all the contact data. I actually canceled my LinkedIn Sales Navigator because I found that I could spend all that money on LinkedIn Sales Navigator on more AI tools. Found that to be more useful for me. But I'm using that combined with Instantly.ai, which is load balancing. I have about 7 email domains in there right now that are being load balanced. And it's using AI to send emails out at scale. It's warming up those domains so that I can pass through Mimecast, Proofpoint, IronScales. I can pass through the secure email gateways that we sell, and I can land in the inbox. I'm using Lavender.ai to help me write some of these cold emails based on templates that I use, and I'll take those and I'll put them into Instantly or Apollo to use one of their email sending registries. But the way that it works is, let's say you want to send out 1,000 emails today. You can't do that from one domain. Yep. You should never use your main domain. So if your main domain is catchadvisors.com, like mine is, I never want to use that domain, because if I get blacklisted, if one of these experiments fails, get blacklisted, now I can't email my exact customers. So that's why I stood up. I actually have 10 other domains. I have them stood up. They're load balanced. So if I say I want to send 1,000 emails out today for an event I'm doing in 30 days, then I just plug it in there, usually you have to do like an A, B, C, D, and E variant test. It's very overwhelming, but I'm using AI to make those variants. So I write all my own copy. I write my first email the way that I want it to be, my style. And then I have Chat GPT or an equivalent, like, make me a variant of this. The reason why you do variants is because if Google sees 1,000 emails going out with the exact same word by word email, it's going to look like a mass marketer. And what does that mean? Spam blocked. So we have to not be spam blocked. So we have to do variants on subject lines, variants on the body content of the email. So that's what I'm doing in sales. I mean, I don't want to take up the rest of the time here talking about it, but because I can get into marketing and finance. But I would say the last thing I did more recently in marketing was I've created 91 pieces of content for LinkedIn in about 15 minutes using Chat GPT to push it into a Google Sheet, to push it into Canva, which created a picture, an image with a quote on it. And it was cybersecurity stats. You can check it out right now. It's Catch Cyber on LinkedIn. It's posting every day at 8:16 a.m. every day. I picked that time because those numbers mean something to me. And it goes out every single day. For the next 91 days, I'm covered. But I did all that automated through that.
Yeah, we
very
try
cool.
the same stuff with some of those same tools. I probably don't have. You're way younger than me, so you probably have a lot more energy than I do, Kyle.
Hey man, age has nothing to do with it. It's all mentality. You can get there.
Yeah, but we definitely tried some of that stuff and didn't really see a lot of success from it. And like I said, that could change.
I have had 80 decision makers come through 5 events over the last 6 months.
That's awesome.
We just did one in Houston, 100% attendance. 8 out of 8 showed up. So I think it's working.
Yeah.
Now I just got to close those deals because that's great. You can get a CIO to an event, cool. But can you close the deal after that? That's what needs to happen next.
Yep.
Very cool. I love hearing some real world application and success using some of these tools, as it can be hard to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff. When there's a flood of new tools and new technology emerges, sometimes it feels like the .com boom, where there's just a flood of products out on the market, and everybody has a compelling story, but it takes time to sort through and really figure out the real world application. So Kyle, I appreciate you, and Derek, appreciate you guys sharing what you're using and what you're having success with, and what you're not. Jackie has a question here. It says, are you worried about people weaponizing AI, making their AI evil /bad /kill people, etc.?
Yes.
Currently, if you type in Chat GPT, how can I kill the entire population of the world for $100,000? You'll get a response that basically says we can't generate that right now, and that's the response we want. Is where it says you can't do that, but that's just because the people who created OpenAI are responsible-ish, right, to not allow that to happen. But yeah, I mean, if there's another AI model that opens up. And again, we have the dark web, we have threat actors. So who's to say there's not going to be one? It's not going to be Google. It's not going to be Microsoft. It'll be one that we don't know about. And that's the scary part.
Yeah, I would recommend anybody that wants to really learn a lot is go out to YouTube and look up Tristan Harris. That he's started the Center for Humane Technology. And he's an ex-Google engineer. Left Google because he was worried about where things were going, and he's really kind of speaking out about this. It's the same dude that did the what was the Netflix deal about the social experiment.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so he did the social experiment as well, and so he talks about how social media was kind of AI 1.0, and now we're into AI 2.0, where it's the first time we've created a technology that can actually develop or redevelop itself. So AI looks at everything as language, whether it's regular language or compute language or music or even art. It looks at it as language and breaks it down to where it can start creating its own language. There was a story about 2 AI chatbots that had within 2 hours talking to one another, created their own language that never existed.
Well, yeah, because English is highly inefficient, right?
Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that's just blowing our minds. And so, yeah, we got to definitely be aware of all this stuff.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up Tristan Harris, because Jackie's comment, the first thing I thought of was Google and their initial mantra of do no evil, and that sort of just went away over time. There's another interesting, I think it was Tristan Harris I was watching, He was talking about how the first generation machine learning and AI algorithms, they were really struggling to get natural results. Like they could compile a staggering amount of information and give you like a textbook response, but the natural human response was kind of eluding them until they started feeding them programming languages. And once they gave the machine learning AI tools the constructs of like if this, then that, and how to solve problems on their own, all of a sudden they started seeing these generational leaps in self-development and becoming more natural. I just thought that was really, really interesting. And, to your point, it led us to things like two AI talking to each other and developing a whole new language over the course of a conversation. It's some pretty wild stuff that we're watching unfold in real time.
Yeah,
well, but funny. I was just going to say how Hollywood almost tells the future sometimes. If you go back and watch that movie, Her, with Joaquin Phoenix, where he literally falls in love with his AI chatbot that kind of guides him through life. And I'm like, that's where we're going,
Oh yeah, we're close to that. Imagine all that. Now, I was just going to say, I equate this to, think about the iPhone. Like everyone was here when the iPhone came out, right? And the iPhone came out, changed everything. Well, some people might equate Chat GPT right now to that original iPhone. I'd say they're wrong. I think this is the iPhone 3G, right? The iPhone just got 3G connectivity. And so just imagine, like we're on iPhone 14 right now, or 15, right? Whatever's coming out next, I'm forgetting. And so just think about where we're going to be. It won't even take 15 years to get there. It's going to be more like 15 months, hopefully not that fast, right? It's just going to be iterating much more faster, much more at scale. And so imagine being able to one day grab one of these versions of generative AI and say, hey, build me $1 billion company, build me $1 trillion company. And what's going to happen is it's going to simultaneously run off into 1,000 directions. It's going to build code for an app. Then it's going to build a marketing strategy and all the marketing content. Then it's going to build a business development outreach strategy. It's going to build all these things on the side. And within a matter of a certain amount of time, you have a strategy in place and actual IP for that $1 billion company. Like that's going to be crazy. So I think talking about regulations, if this is not regulated enough, who knows whose hands that's going to end up in, right? And that's going to be a great wealth transfer right there.
Well, Derek, Kyle, you went ahead and answered my final question there, which was predictions of how this is going to unfold and what we're going to see. So, Derek, I'll turn it over to you. What do you think? What direction do you think it's going to take? What are we going to see over the next few years?
Well, I definitely, like I said, I see a lot of great things in AI, and whether it's leading those conversations in our world and contact centers and such, but also even in the cybersecurity realm, it can have a lot of great benefits of getting out ahead of threats. The problem is it's power without wisdom right now, and you got to go, who's going to be that moral code of being the wise person that holds the keys to the kingdom? Because AI's got to be in these huge data centers, and as you get into quantum computing, it's got to be underground where it's less noise and all that. But there's got to be some sort of regulatory body that's either going to control the power grid to that compute stack or control the internet to that compute stack. Because once the AI starts, replicating itself and, starts morphing on its own, well, then that genie's out of the bottle.
Awesome. Well, it will be. I'm gonna keep this recording and I'm gonna review it again here in 24 months and see how things have unfolded and post back with some comments in 2 months.
What they say? I think Facebook took 4 years to get to 100 million subscribers. It took Chat GPT 4 months.
It took Angry Birds 35 days. Okay, so there's that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we are at our time, guys. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining us today. This was a really fun and really educational discussion. And we'll see you guys around the Alliance.